Hello guys and welcome back. I am still very sorry about the quality and the lighting of these videos. I'm still trying to figure this camera out. It is brand new. This is only my second time using it. Technically my third because we have been vlogging today, but it seems to do a lot better vlogging than sit down videos. So I'm not really sure what's going on, and I know last time the issue was that I had finalized it wrong in iMovie. I didn't know it was the default setting, so I pressed OK. So today I don't have a vlog because yesterday when we would have vlogged for me to post today, I was very busy at work, and by the time I got out and went to start vlogging, my camera was dead. So here I am. Today I am going to film my birth story for you. I hope that's something you guys are interested in, something you wanted to hear. It's a little crazy, it's a little out there, so I think you'll really enjoy it. So I was due May 3rd of 2016. I ended up giving birth to my daughter on April 27th, 2016. I was kept in the hospital for 8 days before I had her, and then 4 days after. So 2 days before I was planned to get induced, the doctor came in around 2 o'clock and was like, somebody who was supposed to get induced tomorrow went into labor naturally, so instead of us inducing you on the 27th, we are going to start your induction on the 26th. So at that point, I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I had a whole other day, but I'm ready to get this baby out, so let's do it. She said that we would start the induction around 3 p.m. So that night, I went to sleep. I woke up to a doctor coming in the room with an ultrasound at about 6 in the morning to make sure the baby was head down. And I was like, why are we doing this so early? Like, I thought the induction was until 3. She's like, well, we're going to try to get you in a little earlier. And I didn't know what a little earlier meant, but I was like, okay. And she was like, try and get some sleep. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get some sleep really quick. No, I didn't get any sleep. And sorry if you hear any screaming. Somebody is laying right next to me playing on her playmat. So I ordered breakfast and I ate, and the nurse came in and was like, are you ready? I'm like, ready for what? She's like, we're going to go. Now at this point it was about 9 o'clock. And I was like, go where? She's like, you are going to a birthing room, you know, we're going to start the induction. I was like, right now? She's like, yeah, they're almost ready for you, so pack up your things. So because I'd been in the hospital for such a long time, I did accumulate some things. So I packed everything up and I went down to the birthing room. A doctor came in, explained all of my options. Can you please chill, girlfriend? Can you? I'm trying to tell a story. I know, but I'm trying to talk. You gonna let me talk or no? You gonna let me talk or no? I have to talk. Yeah. So she came in, explained all the options, and did a pelvic exam and found that I was not dilated and my cervix was not, what's the word they use? Effaced at all. Okay, sorry, the camera died. I had to charge it. It's now significantly later, so the lighting is probably more terrible than it was to begin with. My next purchase will be studio lights. So, where was I? Okay, so the doctor was like, I think we should start with this medicine. It's called Cervidil. It's basically like a shoelace, and we insert it inside of you. It will dilate and efface your cervix. I said, okay, that sounds fine. She said, you know, it takes about 12 hours. I was like, all right, let's do it. So by 10 o'clock I had the medication inside of me, and I started cramping a little, and I decided to get up and take a walk because that helps, you know, if you have cramps. If you're a girl, you know. That walking helps with cramps. If you didn't know, now you know. So I was walking around the hospital a couple of times. I came and laid down, hung out, you know, whatever. My friends came. It was like nothing was happening really. And then, after the 12 hours that night, they took it out and did another internal exam, and there was no change whatsoever to my cervix. So they said, okay, we're going to do the medication again. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm just going to go to sleep. It doesn't matter. So they put the medication in, and immediately I started having contractions. Now, every time they would try to lay me down, her heart rate would drop. It would decrease significantly, so they needed me to sit up. So they had me sitting up, and they gave me Benadryl so that I could sleep. The next morning I woke up, and the doctor came in and was like, okay, we need to get a little more aggressive. So for those of you who don't know, I do have epilepsy, and I do get seizures from pain. So she explained to me that she wanted to take a catheter, insert it inside of my cervix, and basically blow it up so that I'd be approximately 4 centimeters dilated. I said, okay, that's fine, let's do it. And then she left, and then I was talking to my nurse, and I was like, is there any way like this? I'm really like cramping a lot, and it's not doing anything. It's really uncomfortable. Is there any way that we could take this medication out a little earlier so that I could get up and shower and do my thing? She's like, let me talk with the doctor. The doctor said that I could take it out with 1 hour. I could take it out at 11 hours instead of 12 hours. So at 11 hours, they took it out. I got up. I showered. The doctor came back in and checked my cervix, and I was 2 centimeters dilated. So they were going to do the balloon, but they wanted to give me the epidural first because of the pain. So she was like, once the anesthesiologist comes in, we will do the catheter, and we'll take it from there. I said, okay, that's fine. Then we didn't hear anything for quite a few hours. There, I guess, was a few emergency C-sections, so the anesthesiologist was busy. So he came into my room at about, I want to say, 6:30 that night, and he did the epidural. He was having trouble doing it at first. He was a resident, and then they had an attending doctor who was in there also. He kept hitting a nerve, and my leg would like bounce, and he was like, oh, well, can you stop moving your leg? And I'm like, you're hitting a nerve. I'm not intentionally doing it. So the attending doctor took over, put it in, no problem. It kicked in, and they inserted the catheter. So this all was about 7:30, and then at like 8:15, I was like, hey, can you check? I feel like it fell out. Like, I think it's done. She's like, usually it's not done that soon, but yeah, I'll check for you. So she checked, and it was in fact done. I was at 4 centimeters dilated, and hi. So I was at 4 centimeters, so they started Pitocin. I started getting contractions. I could feel the tightening. I wasn't in any pain, but I could feel them tightening, and the nurse was like, I need to use a catheter to empty your bladder, and for some reason that freaked me out. I like went into full panic mode. After she finished, she's like, roll over, I need you to relax, like take some deep breaths, try to take a nap. So I ended up falling asleep, and about 8:30 I woke up and I was like, my water just broke. She's like, oh, probably not, like usually we have to break people's water, and I'm like, can you just check, because I could feel it like sporadically gushing out. So she came and checked, and she's like, oh, your water did in fact break. So she called the doctor, let the doctor know. About an hour later, probably at about 8:45, I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. And she's like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, no, that's probably the baby pushing down. So they called the doctor. The doctor came in and checked me again. She told the nurse that I was 9.5 centimeters and had a small anterior lip. I don't know what that means. Whatever. So the doctor explained to me that if she didn't hear from me in an hour, she was going to come in and we would do some practice pushes. Well, it doesn't matter, because at about 9:30 anyway, I really felt like I should push. So the doctor came back in. We did a couple practice pushes, and she was like, okay, I'm going to go check on some other patients. You know, people usually push for a while. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I was with the nurse and my mom, and I was pushing and pushing and pushing. 10:45 rolls around, and this is where the story gets a little crazy. Hey, this is the good part. I need you to be... This is where the story gets a little tiny bit intense. So it is 10:45, and I am still pushing, and the new nurse comes in. That's going to be the overnight nurse. So she comes in, and she says hi to everybody, and the nurse kind of brings her up to speed, and she watches me push a couple of times, and then she's like, do you think we should maybe call the doctor? And the old nurse was like, yeah. So they get the doctor on the phone. They're like, we need you in here right now. So the doctor comes in. She's putting like booties on. She puts a mask on. She goes to put her gloves on. And I'm like, okay, I can feel a contraction. The nurse is like, yep, there's a contraction. On the count of 3, push. And so I pushed. And they called the doctor's name. She turned around. Her face dropped. Like, turned white as a ghost. And I felt my stomach collapse. The doctor's just like, the nurses are just like, my mom's just like, I'm like, and I can feel this little this wiggling in between my legs, and I'm like, what is that? And then I realized that that was the baby. And nobody caught her. She just flew out onto the bed, and then to make matters worse, when she flew out onto the bed, nobody moved. So she was just sitting there wiggling, not making any sound. And I was eventually like, why isn't the baby crying? And then maybe like 5 seconds later, she let out the cutest little tiny baby cry that I ever heard. And the doctor, when she cried, everybody came back to life. And then the attending doctor that was on that night and the pediatrician and a whole bunch of people came in the room. And they held her up to me, and I was like, she looks just like her dad just gave her a Newport and a 40. Then they put her on my chest, and I spent a little time with her, but then they realized that I had torn really bad, and they really needed to put the bed up high so that they could stitch me up. And I was like, okay, well, while you guys are stitching me up, the pediatrician and whoever is over here waiting to assess the baby, so I will let them, put her on the warmer, clean her up, do whatever they do. So they took the baby over there. My mom was with the baby, taking pictures of her, sending them to me. I could see her. She wasn't very far away, but I was still like, I don't know, getting stitched up, and I had like, the TV was off, and I could see like the reflection of them I can't even say it. And then somebody walks in and is like, there's 2 people in the 2 guys outside the door waiting for you. I guess my friends had stopped by. They didn't even know I had her. They just knew I was, in there. And I was like, tell them to go wait in the waiting room. So they stitched me up. She got a 9 on her APGAR both times because her feet and hands were purple and remained purple for about a month. And then after they did everything they needed to do for her and stitched me up, they lowered the bed back down. Everybody said congratulations. They handed me her back, and we nursed for the first time, and she was a champ. She took to it right away. We had a little issue where we had to use a nipple shield for a little while on one side because she wasn't latching correctly, but by the time my milk came in, that had resolved. And so I was nursing her, and I told my mom, hey, Mom, my friend Lizzie and her mom were in the waiting room. I was like, Mom, can you go get Lizzie and her mom? So my mom went and got them, and they came in, and I had always been like, nobody's holding my baby as soon as she's born for a couple of days and blah, blah, blah. As soon as they got in, like, they were so great my whole pregnancy. And when I was in the hospital, Lizzie would, like, bring me food, and I was, like, so exhausted, and my head was going all crazy, and I was having, like, hormone surges, and I felt lightheaded, so I was like, here, hold the baby. So they held the baby, they brought me to recovery. She went to the nursery because I was so out of it, and then she came back about 2 hours later and ate, and then I got her back the next morning, and I have not let her go since. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, is this traumatic for you too? Were you traumatized? You fell on the bed and nobody caught you. Yeah, you fell on the bed. I know. So that is my birth story. Hit the like button if you like this video. And comment below what the craziest thing you've ever heard about somebody giving birth was. And if you are new to our channel, we do vlog all the time, as I said before. So please subscribe. We are trying to get 100 subscribers by the time she is 6 months old, which will be October 27th. Have a good night. Say bye. Give kiss. Give kiss.